I'm going to start with Sean Nayden's list. This was a 96-person GT battle for salvation, so it's a very popular event in general. He went under Goffs instead of Orcs. He does that quite often, it seems. Sean Nayden is a very, very, very well-known and well-skilled player. He's known for making kind of out-of-the-box lists. Sometimes he'll play other factions if Orcs are too down, but it's not uncommon for him to be a prolific Orc player. So we'll start right here, and I think this is his YouTube if you want to go check him out real quick on his own. So as you can see with this list, guys, it's going to have some nice, interesting units. We'll start that. And as you can see right here, Gaz. Of course, we have the Beast Boss. A lot of people love the Beast Boss, and it's for a specific reason. The fact that he gets dev wounds throughout the game, not just on the wall or with a relic, he's constantly able to do the damage that he's supposed to do, and you can throttle as long as you put some CP into him. So he's a great investment for reliable anti-vehicle, anti-monster damage. That's why he ends up on a lot of lists. I had to overcome and start loving him myself. So we have Gaz. Whoa! Who's not happy to see Gaz on a first place winning event GT list, right? Everybody's either down or unsure about Gaz. We understand his strengths and his weaknesses. Nayden found a way. So we have Nob on Smash Squid at Wapa's Kill Choppa. Pretty much the same reason as the Beast Boss. Reliable dev wound damage against monsters, which is what Orcs really want to do with monsters and vehicles, considering we don't have great strength across the board and we don't have multi-damage attacks like greater than 2 unless you go into our mechs and such. So here again, you can see he has a War Boss with Follow Me, lads, as we always know about that. But the one tech piece, the Nob with Wall Banner. Whoa! If you've been a fan of the channel to any means or just listen to me rant, you understand that I've loved the Nob with the Wall Banner. So this is a special place in my heart. That's why I started with this list. Come on now. So the Nob with Wall Banner, he gives you a second wall in the game. Boom. The unit that he's in, most likely a 20-man unit of Boyz most of the time, he gives him another wall. You use that offensively or defensively. What do I mean by that? Is that sometimes you're just throwing that unit somewhere, utilizing its OC, playing the mission, popping that the wall because you know that the enemy's going to have to try to dislodge them and you want them to overcommit. Or you're letting people know every turn, hey, I can pop a strat to get +2 to advance and charge, and I can call a wall with this unit only, not with everybody. I'm not going to waste it and still cover great distance through buildings and terrain. So the Nob with Wall Banner has always been a very interesting tech piece for me. And he didn't look like he brought any enhancements, which is something that I'm always like back and forth about. Then he brought a second War Boss, and the reason I'm thinking he did that, as you'll see, is he has Nobs and Boyz, and he probably snuck them in there. So the battle line, we have Beast Snagger Boyz, followed by a 20-man unit of Boyz who loves to see the mob. We all love to see the mob, of course. One truck, followed by a battle wagon. Yeah! You guys know, I love the battle wagons personally. As soon as the data slate happened, we knew that when trucks went up, battle wagons would fall back into that range of being playable and being viable. They're a great data sheet, having essentially Armor of Content reduce AP by 1. Built-in is amazing when you can get cover so easily now in the game, and you can either make it more durable or just have its awesome 22-person capacity. So you love that, love to see it. Bias is, and I love it a lot. 2 10-man units of Gretchen, or sorry, 11 because of the herder, but 2 units of Gretchen, the 2 Mega Nobs. So this is most likely Gaz's bodyguards. I'm assuming they go in the battle wagon. So you can look right here. We have Nobs, love the Nobs, our scalpel unit, as you guys know how I love to call it, followed by only 2 units of 3 Ghazghkull Boyz. So you don't even see the one big brick. He just stuck that character in one of these units, said, hey, go get my reliable damage, which is, I can totally understand. Then you have 2 units of Storm Boyz, the War Biker, like we always know the trifecta, but he also brought in another unit of War Bikers, which I like to see. I mean, I like the durability, the fact that they're still playing the mission, they have assault, great utility with that. So he didn't bring a lot of trucks, right? So we have, one thing I wanted to point out here is we do have the battle wagon, and he can take on Gaz, but he can also strategic reserve him, or he has the Nobs with the Power Claw and the War Boss in the one truck or in the battle wagon, and the Beast Boss with the Beast Snagger Boyz in the battle wagon or the truck, right? So I think it was very much matchup dependent on what he did with all of his units. There's no just strict way, unless he will tell you on his channel, I'm not sure. We have to understand this is the kind of utility you want to think about on your orc list when you're being very smart, that next level, where you're saying, I don't have to assign every game every same unit to the same transports. Maybe I will, but doesn't mean I have to. I actually do have the ability to tech into choosing. I can make this a 20-man, I can make it a 12-man and make it more durable for Nobs. I can put trucks, I can outflank Gaz or Nobs, whatever it may be. So love to see it. It's a very interesting list. He's a very interesting individual, and we'll go over his matchups. Before we're going into matchups, maybe let's see if you guys yelled at me. Okay, so you guys yelling while at me. Whoa! But I'm gonna keep going. All right, so let's look at his first matchup, and he started off hot playing with the Eldar, and it looks like Eldar / Yaranari. We have Yavrin, Spirits here, Mandrakes, Scourges. So a lot of Dark Lances you can see right here off the bat. You can see how many Dark Lances are going on here. Mandrakes, nice for playing the mission, pretty cheap. Shadow Specters, Warp Spiders, Night Spinner with Shuriken, Ravager, Dark Lances, and Bright Lances. So this is just a bunch of lances. Actually, you would think, hey, this isn't terrible into the kind of units that he brought with the battle wagon and such. And this is why having the flexibility of not being committed to just spending everything in that unit every time is the way to go necessarily, right? So he ended up putting up 85-point winning game into that. He's going to his second matchup against the Leagues of Votann. So Brokir, Iron Master, with the Iron Here champion. Okay, so they're just bringing a couple characters and that one super hard to kill, bring back to life character. One battle line unit, most likely. Yep, just one battle line unit. Is it okay? Small unit. Sechator. Yep, those very effective. Transports, good guns, everything like that. So I'm not surprised by that at all. We have the Thunderkin. Again, very effective. You can see this a lot with these Leagues of Votann lists where they know they're getting a little bit more hoardy and they know that they kind of have to spread out because they want you to kill them so they can get tokens and then they can be more effective with the rest of their army. They're going to have these cheap transports that are potentially good little cheap gunboats, and they don't really just die because they have weird durability with their toughness as well. So now that they're kind of cheap, Votann likes to come a little cheap sometimes with their units. Not always, but Berserkers, like this is a cheap unit. They fight, they're great. They have a profile almost essentially of an orc knob to a certain extent offensively. And they're 100 points. That's one unit like I'm talking about. You're going to see Land Fortress. Usually in most games, people don't have the ability to kill Land Fortresses all the time. They're like a Space Marine Land Raider, you know, to an extent. So it gives you a lot of long range, anti-monster, anti-vehicle. It's not that it has it built in, but the whole point of this rail cannon is to really deal with the thick, durable threats that the enemy units have. So you would think, okay, it's decent firepower and such like that. But Sean Nayden playing with his list of, as we've seen earlier, having Gaz for the high damage AP, such like that, where he can tear through some of the Leagues of Votann vehicles, the war bosses, the small units doing the capability, and the fact that the knobs with the wall banner most likely cover that distance and start touching things, just like against Aeldari as well, most likely. That knob with wall banner really just lets people know, like, hey, one thing I wanted to point out here is I'm not sure if the Follow Me Lads war boss is with the knob with wall banner in his unit or with the knobs, or if Sean made that determinant factor based off of who he was playing against. Another tech piece, right? You would think that'd be somewhat interesting to be like, okay, I'm going to put him with the knob with wall banner. We're going to Follow Me Lads on top of Here We Go, and I'm just going to charge you from across the table. Just boom, right away. I can do it turn one if I want to. That's something that Aeldari don't really want you to do, or the Leagues of Votann. If you start running up and touching things, they don't really like that. So I can see how that was a great utility. He ended up putting up 99 points into him. So we're going into his next list. Beep boop. Chaos Knights. So we have War Dog Stalker, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brigands. Okay, so the max amount of brigands, very annoying units. With their multi-melter cannons, and then they have chain cannons, 8 OC, moderate durability. We have the carnivores, so he pretty much went for the shooting ones, and then the melee ones, 6 and 6, and then with some small units that are allied to play the mission. This is actually a quite effective Chaos Knight list. Running as many small walkers as possible is actually great for durability to play the mission. You're running a skew. You really are, and you're not even running a slow skew or anything like that. So I'm sure Sean Nayden, the fact that he had someone like Gaz who could possibly tank that with a lot of Makari's damage, not seeing a lot of dev wounds, if any at all, on this list. Gaz is able to solo some. Knobs are able to solo some of those. You have the Edwapas, you have the Beast Boss. So you have all these units that when they do reliably go into these brigands or these carnivores, they're just killing them. And brigands have like no fighting. So if you cover them, cover the distance, not with wall banner again, you can see that being a great tech piece, covering the distance, touching some of these units, and then all of a sudden they're just kind of shooting and standing still, and then you can get into position with your rest of your units, is how I could see him pulling off that win against that. Again, you don't know if he just strategic preserved, brought everybody in, put him on the table, matchup dependent. So then his following matchup was Orc Mirror matchup. So let's see the difference in this list and the utility that it has. So we have a Big Mac and Mega Armor with Follow Me Lads, Captain Badrock, we know about that. Mazrog, we know about that. Naban Smash Quick, Edwapa Skill Chopper. That's it for his leaders. 2, 3 10-man units of Beast Snagger Boys, followed by 4 Truck, Flash Skits, 2 units of Grok, 1 large unit of Mega Knobs, okay, for the Big Mac. Squig Hog Boys, 3 3-man units, 2 Storm Boys, and 1 Warbiker unit. This is a pretty typical orc list to a certain extent. We see the Mega Knobs, I've been talking about that. They do not have the twin kill saws, and I'm not a fan of that, but it is what it is. He probably put some of these into trucks, maybe outflanked to just put the Mega Knobs on the table to hold an objective, or well, follow me, lads. It looks like they want to come in and do something. Wouldn't be surprised if we reserve them and then try to get them on the table and then charge across the table. And Mazrog. So this has a lot of what orcs really like to bring. A bit different with a bit more beast snagga boys and not their leaders necessarily, but still, this guy got far enough to be playing into Sean. I mean, he was doing well going into his event. So Sean had 93 points right there. Going into his second to last matchup was Death Guard. I really am glad to see that he had to play into Death Guard, as Death Guard is one of those armies that I could see going either way in an orc matchup. If you don't bring the right tools in the matchup, you can easily just go downhill if he has too many redundancy in his maybe small vehicles or units. So we'll see what this guy had. We had the Foul Blightspawn followed by Mortarion. Okay, only those two characters? Okay. One large unit of Plague Marines followed by one small unit of Plague Marines, 5 mans, one Rhino, some Cultists, okay, 2 10-man units of Cultists, followed by the Death Shroud, a small 3-man unit of Death Shroud, Bloat Drone with one with the Flesh Mower. They both have Flesh Mowers, and then 3 big Plague Burst Crawlers with 2 Poxwalkers and only 1 Nurgling unit. Okay, so we can see, I'm not seeing too many threats in like melee other than these Terminators and Mortarion. So if you start, another list that if you do close the distance, of course, the entropy cannons could pop that battle wagon, but the battle wagon could survive as well. The fact that you can give it armor of contempt and the feel no pain, it's actually going to take saves most of the time against most things. I don't think the entropy cannons have -4 AP anymore or right now. So this is a pretty typical Death Guard list. I'm usually not used to seeing the cultist and the Poxwalkers. He doesn't have as many drones, Terminators as I would normally see, I would think. But he does have the drones, very great for their point cost, 100 points. So this was actually a very good Death Guard, pretty Death Guard list as a whole. But I can see with Sean Nayden's list, the amount of fire like damage he has. He actually has AP. He has high damage potential units with Gaz being in there for once. He has the knobs with the war boss. So if you put the war boss with the knob with Wall Banner and the Boyz unit, makes that one big unit. That's a pretty punchy unit, and that's because there's 3 different power claw models in that unit. So you have the war boss, you have the knob with Wall Banner who has a power claw that typically hits on 3s, and then you have the actual knob from the unit. Then the war boss gives those guys +1 to hit. So now you're getting reliable power claws, and then you're also possibly popping Unbridled Carnage on there. So you're getting the war boss, who's essentially 2 knobs or more in by himself during the WAAAGH, since he gets 9 attacks. You have the actual knob with Wall Banner, and then your built-in knob. So you're getting a good amount of power claws out of that unit, to where most people are like, oh, a bunch of boys are going to punch me. No, you're also going to get punched by a bunch of knobs, pretty much a bunch of knob punches, like a small 5-man unit of knobs, essentially. You can think of it in your hand with volume, plus the Boyz volume. So that knob with Wall Banner is deceitfully has potential to kill units like those Death Guard units. So yeah, that was actually pretty interesting, pretty awesome. Nice to see that. And let's go into his last matchup. Okay, so we have Chaos Space Marines. So this is one of the factions that I thought might end up being one of our predators, or actually just still be doing very well in the meta, and it is. It's rising with their gun line. So let's see what's happening here. We got Abaddon, a Chaos Lord, another Chaos Lord, a Dark Commune. Okay, Cultist Mob, Chaos Rhino, a Cursed Cultist, big unit of Chaos Terminators, Chosen, Forge Fiend, Nurgling, and Silax. Okay. I'm not used to seeing Silax on this list, or that person's name, Selexi, on the list. Forge Fiends, we know what they do. Entropy Cannons, very reliable damage output, especially when Abaddon's giving them his rerolls. We have the Chosen. They're undivided, so they can choose what they're trying to do here with what kind of potential. Chaos Marines have so much potential to either choose, I'm going to try to reroll, I'm going to try to get lethals, or sustain criticals on 5s, or I'm going to try to fall back and shoot, or fall back and charge, or I'm going to advance and charge, or I'm going to fight in death. I'm going to be Nurgle and be unseen. Like, they have different abilities based off their marks. So that's something that you'll learn over time if you end up having to play into them. And then one big brick of Chaos Terminators. Of course, Abaddon's most likely going to be attached to them. I typically, when I played into that, I did actually try to just avoid that until I couldn't. And that's because Abaddon himself is very reliable in his offensive potential as well. And you're not really going to want to be like, I'm going to precision you out. So you're going to have to chew through the 10 Terminators, and most orc units can't just straight up chew through 10 Terminators. They can chew through like 6 and then kill the rest as it goes on. But, 10 might be a bit much. There's a good list. It doesn't have obliterators like I'd be used to seeing, but it does have the nice cultists and their cursed cultist mob, which would actually be good. But that's where something like the knobs with Wall Banner again would actually come into play and try to decimate that accursed cult unit, put them right on the line. You know, I've gone into 20 cultists to have a 4-up invuln on a 5-up feel no pain and punch them out with the Knob with Wall Banner unit. So he has the strength and the volume to actually punch out that list, and the actual AP as well. In a weird way, and durability. So great job by Sean Nayden. That was his performance. First place at the Battle for Salvation. So great job. Whoa! They had a bunch of different lists. I mean, units that I really like to see, guys. I'm really happy to see this list. And it has everything that I've, really like to see on the table, or I've been running. Besides, I haven't been running Gaz, to be honest, but I love to see him on the table. So I'm just happy to see this list. It looks great. And here, if you find him, this looks like that might be his channel or his review or something.